To attract a woman, you don't need to try to please her. This is one of those rules that work great when interacting with the opposite sex. But when the woman is beautiful and her significance to you is high, it's hard to control yourself, hard to hide your interest. And if the woman is also in high demand among men, she might just not notice you. Yes, you can say, what difference does it make? If not one, then another. But that's just an excuse. You can make it so that women themselves try to get to know you, themselves try to win you over. In today's video, I'll tell you how to achieve all this. And I'll even give exercises that will help you in this. What's important to understand first and foremost? The secret of men who are successful with the opposite sex is not in some magical set of manipulations. It all comes from an internal state, from the energy that a man radiates. Such an internal state cannot be faked. Women spot it from the crowd almost immediately. They just need to see such a man, talk to him for just 5 minutes to understand, yes, he is not like everyone else. He is better than others. So, how to develop such an internal state so that women fall in love with you in just 5 minutes? First rule: interact with the opposite sex. It doesn't matter whether you're in a relationship or not. Go not only to sausage parties with friends, but also attend events where there are women. What kind of events? Some go dancing, some practice yoga, and even go on retreats. Some attend various self-development courses. It's not necessary to flirt. Just simple friendly communication is enough. Because when you interact with women, you feel like a fish in water in their company. And if you decide to get acquainted with a girl you like, it will be much easier for you because communication with the opposite sex is not something unusual for you. But in your desire to interact and meet women more often, you can make a number of mistakes. For example, there are pickup artists who spend days and nights in fields, constantly meeting someone. Such a man's life revolves only around women and everything related to them. This is a gross mistake, because acquaintances with girls become the meaning of his life. He becomes dependent on it, and no addiction leads to anything good. So, I specifically clarify, it's necessary to attend events where there are women, but you go there not with the goal of meeting someone, but to have a good time. Interaction with women is just a pleasant addition to such an event. For example, you shouldn't go to a dance school just to grope someone. Go there with the goal of learning to dance. Then everything will look as natural as possible. You will have a lot of interaction with women, but at the same time, your life won't revolve around them. Yes, if you're not in a relationship, you can and should get acquainted with the girls you like. You can even go to special places for meetings, clubs, speed dating evenings, or interact with them on dating sites. But this should not be the meaning of your life. Even if you have a girlfriend or wife, also interact with other women. I don't recommend cheating, but I also don't recommend making the girlfriend or wife the center of your world. If you attend self-development courses, various offline events, and there you have interaction with the opposite sex, then your confidence will greatly increase. Your girlfriend or wife will feel that other women pay attention to you, who she will perceive as competitors. The sense of ownership will flare up, meaning she will start to pull towards you more and fear losing you. And the exercise I recommend you do: plan to go to an event where other women will be present right now. It could be dances, foreign language courses, offline games like Mafia. Your task is to go there and make new acquaintances. At the very least, just chat with other people. But if you just chat with women, you risk ending up in the role of a nice guy who is kept in the friend zone. Second rule: if you want something, go for it. For those men who are in relationships, this can be particularly useful to step out of the comfort zone and avoid the syndrome of a postponed life. Because we love to relax in relationships, making the woman the center of the world. We forget about friends, hobbies, sports. We just go to work. So, when you want something, don't put it off for later. Now let's talk about men who are not in relationships. For them, the principle of take and do works differently. If you like a woman, don't hope that she will get to know you herself or that someone will introduce you. Take the initiative yourself. If you want to engage in intimacy with her, don't put it off for later. Don't try to win her over for 15 dates. Yes, I understand. You want her to be completely sure of your serious intentions. But remember the main downside of such tactics. There's a risk that she'll age and die, and you still won't achieve your goal. I remind you, a woman determines whether she likes a man or not, whether she wants him or not, within the first 5 minutes of interaction. Yes, of course, she needs time to trust you, get to know you better. So remember about adequacy. If the woman is not ready to engage in this on the first date, you can wait a couple more meetings. But you don't need to arrange multi-month courtship rituals just to get into her panties. And right away, I'll give you an exercise that will help you practice the skill of take and do. Your task is to do what you've been putting off because you were afraid to do it. Suppose you're in a relationship. All your friends go fishing on weekends. You also want to go with them, but your woman is against it. So today, tell her, I'm going fishing this Saturday. Yes, there might be objections from her side, but you need to firmly stand your ground. If you're not in a relationship, your task is to do what you've been afraid to do. Meet a girl on the street, or try to kiss a girl already on the first date. This will also help you step out of the comfort zone. It's not guaranteed that you'll succeed right away, as it takes time to practice a skill. But the main task for you at this stage is to step out of the comfort zone. Learn to take and do. Third rule. It's about the principle of I want. Want to do something? Do it. If achieving your goal is not so simple and requires a lot of time, then create a roadmap that will help you with this. Suppose you want to run a marathon. Create a training schedule. Find a coach to work on your technique. Also, decide in which competitions you will participate. And when you create a roadmap, reaching the goal will be much easier. If you don't like your job, do everything possible to change it. Yes, it may not be so simple, and you may need to take courses to improve your qualifications. But the most important thing is that you don't stand still. Apply the principle of I want even in small things. For example, if your smartphone is morally outdated, you walk with a cracked screen and a worn case. Then take care of yourself. Go to the store and buy a new phone. If you don't have the money, at least change the case and protective glass. The same applies to your clothes, hobbies, interests. Do what you want, not postponing it for later. And why do men who adhere to the principle of I want appeal so much to the opposite sex? Because they know what they want. They don't stand still, they develop. And this is the best proof that such a man has an inner core. Due to this, a woman understands. With such a partner, she won't have to act as a mommy, as he can independently solve arising problems. But also remember, there are constructive and destructive desires. Constructive desires contribute to self-development. Destructive desires lead to degradation. An example of destructive desires. You're trying to lose weight, but despite this, you continue to eat your favorite chocolate rolls before bed because you like it. You want to quit smoking, but go and buy another pack of cigarettes. Did your girlfriend break up with you? You understand that you shouldn't chase after her. But still, you go to the store for a bouquet of flowers. Then you drive to her house and ask her for one more chance, hoping that she will melt. These are all destructive desires, which will bring you relief at the moment, but will create many problems in the future. Therefore, the principle of I want only works in relation to constructive desires that will improve your life in the long run. An example of such desires is finding a higher-paying job, updating your wardrobe, breaking free from pornography addiction, and so on. Now the exercise. Write down 3 constructive desires, 2 of which are relatively simple to achieve. For example, finally tidy up the apartment, throw out those things that have long belonged in the trash, and plan the purchase of new ones. Also, write down one task that will take some time to achieve. As I've already mentioned, it could be some sports goal, looking for a new job, or learning a foreign language. It's important to do this so that you learn not only to achieve simple goals, but also not to lose your way when facing difficult tasks. And if you want to know a not-so-obvious reason why we sacrifice our desires for others and postpone everything for later, watch my episode titled, This Video Will Change Your Life. Fourth rule. If you're interacting with a woman, be interested in her as a person. Why is this so important? Most men, when they see an attractive woman, switch to one of 2 modes, either the get-laid mode or the please mode. At that moment, the man tries to show his best side, say what the woman wants to hear. Therefore, he talks about how good, correct, strong, and goal-oriented he is. He deliberately chooses topics for discussion that, in his opinion, should be most interesting to the woman. Travel, psychology, hobbies. And if the topics for discussion run out, he simply asks the woman about everything in a row. And what's the problem? At such a moment, The man is very tense because he constantly thinks about how to make a good impression on his interlocutor. I recommend doing it differently. When interacting with a woman, don't try to please her. Try to discuss topics that are interesting to both you and her. You can even talk about what she likes if, of course, it interests you. For example, when I was not yet married, I went on a date with a girl, a master of sports and rhythmic gymnastics. As a former athlete, I was interested in how the training process for gymnasts goes. In turn, I told her how swimmers train. We talked about this topic for quite a while, shared stories that happened to us in sports camps, laughed, joked, even argued. And what happened? I wasn't performing some ritual. I was communicating with the girl on a topic that was interesting to both of us. I shifted the focus of the goal and didn't strive to please her. I focused on enjoying our conversation, not performing some ritual in the hope of pleasing her. What's the main advantage of such relaxed communication? The woman can relax and trust you. And what do most men do on the first dates, especially when the girl is liked? They engage in self-presentation. The girl understands this perfectly and looks down on such a man. Or she also turns on presentation mode and can't relax either. This all hinders unstrained communication. So it's very important that you both relax. And since during a trusting conversation, the woman opens up and exits the demo mode, you can get to know her better. And I'll immediately tell about a common mistake. On a date, you don't need to talk only about the woman. Don't discuss topics that are only interesting to her. At least half the time you should talk about yourself. Otherwise, you'll turn into a free personal psychologist and end up in the friend zone. Now the exercise. When talking to a girl, wife, or just an acquaintance, try to discuss a topic that is interesting to both you and her. Then change the topic of conversation to something standard and boring. Talk about the weather, politics, work. See how the woman's state changes at that moment. Then write the result in the comments. Fifth rule. The principle of exchange. Only communicate with people from whom you get a response. Unfortunately, when interacting with a liked girl, most men behave completely differently. We're ready to sacrifice any of our principles to achieve and keep her. We're ready to shower her with gifts, turn a blind eye to her haughty behavior, and even ignore the fact that she flirts with other men. It turns out you invest much more in the woman than you receive in return. For you, being next to her is already a priceless reward. Of course, such actions destroy your self-esteem. Therefore, if you realize that a person is blatantly using you or communicates with you disrespectfully, you stop interacting with them. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're in a group of friends, and you like a certain girl there. You start paying her a lot of attention, flirting with her, while she practically makes no steps towards closeness. If you continue to behave this way, nothing good will come of your communication. The woman will just distance herself from you. So, I recommend doing it differently. After you've talked to the girl but haven't seen any reciprocity from her side, switch to communicating with other people. Find a few like-minded people in the group with whom you'll communicate. Ideally, if you take leading positions in this group, and with the girl, interact mirroringly. She talks to you. You respond, then, after some time, you can start a dialogue with her. Meanwhile, don't forget to communicate with other people. It turns out, you're not betting on interesting her and making an impression. On the contrary, you're not trying to please anyone, and you pursue one simple goal from interacting with other people, to have fun. As a result, the girl sees that you're a confident, charismatic man, and she herself is drawn to you. Yes, this is an important quality, being able to look at a woman with a sober view. Because if you're trying to please her, then the main question that concerns you is, how to please her? And if you look at her with a sober view, then you're concerned with a completely different question. Namely, should I continue to interact with her or not? In such a case, you'll be able to refuse a woman who is not ready to do something for others, who only thinks about herself, who is used to using men to achieve personal goals. This principle will help filter out manipulators and egoists, and not fall into love dependency on a problematic woman. Now the exercise. Try to find in your environment those people who blatantly use you and whom you can't say no to. It doesn't matter. It's a friend, another friend, or even someone from relatives. The next time such a person asks you for something, politely refuse. So, follow the 5 principles I've talked about in today's video, and you'll be respected in the group and also become a magnet for women. because your behavior will demonstrate confidence, calmness, and adequacy. This won't be just some social mask. It'll be your natural state. I hope this video was helpful to you. As usual, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and move on to watching other videos on my channel. Bye.